Welcome back, my little horrors, to my Dragula review series. And today we're diving into episode 7. Oh, shut up and roll the intro. We start off this week around the coffin-shaped table with the aftermath of Aurora's elimination. A moment of silence and all that. But suddenly I realised there's hardly anyone left. It's getting serious now with only a handful of monsters. And you know the competition is so fierce, I'm very excited for the next few episodes. Right off the bat, the queens are serving some fabulous day looks. Pie's rocking this neon blue-haired goth raver vibe, which I'm in love with. Asia's giving us a woman in red moment, which is gorgeous. I also hadn't noticed Auntie's giant moth tattoo that she had on her stomach, and we love a bold tattoo choice. We've also still got some strong personalities in the talking heads. Jaria is as delightful as ever. I think she's got a really warm and likeable energy. I love Yuri's talking heads. He's got this sweet charm that's really endearing. Plus he's cute.
Why are your eyes shaped like hearts?
Gray's quote about carrying a big stick, I loved. I want to see him crack a smile. I want to get to know him more, really. That's the only thing. I understand being like withdrawn and quiet or shy and reserved. He said that he likes to talk with his art, which I really respect, but I just want to get to know him a bit better. I feel like we don't really know him very well. All right. The theme this week is Dungeons and Drag Queens. As a fantasy fan myself, I am living for this theme. Personally, I think the inspirations you can pull from fantasy-based games are endless. It's always super inspiring to me, and it's actually a place that I look quite often for costume inspo and for look inspo. We also had a really lovely emotional chat between Gray and Auntie about sobriety. It was vulnerable, it was powerful, and it was inspiring. I think they're both amazing, and it's really nice to see a little bit into both of their lives and see some vulnerability from them both, because they've both been so flawless so far. So if they've not got problems with their drag, at least want to know their traumas. Fix your shoulders, love. The skulls on your shoulders, they're falling off. I know they are. Back to business. I've lost a finger and I don't know where it's gone. I've lost one of my... I must have flung it off at some point. Missing a finger. Get used to it. I can't be dealing with finding it right now. I don't know what's going on with my spikes. Everything's falling apart on me. But to be fair, I did make it in about 10 minutes. Okay, although I'm falling apart, we're going to carry on with the review. On to the floor show. We had another pair of killer looks from the Boulet Brothers this week. They showed up in all their dark, dripping candelabra glamour. They were serving Lumiere's gothic aunties. The red and black contrast was stunning. There were just a few things I would tweak. I think the gloves were maybe unnecessary. It might have been cleaner without them and with just a nail. I love that they are both wearing different dresses, but I think Swan in the shorter dress should maybe have worn a stiletto again. I'm a sucker for a stiletto. I like to elongate the look, and I think with like a big platform, it kind of cuts it off, you know? Also, let the shoulders breathe. I want to see those straps gone. The costume's actually probably really heavy and it needs the straps. I think it would have been cool if they were corseted and like structured enough to hold themselves up so they didn't need those straps on the shoulders. I think that would have looked cleaner. But overall, I really loved these looks. This week, the queens had to battle it out in pairs, performing a self-choreographed fight scene. So, let's jump in. First up, Grey Matter. Goblin Warrior realness, and I mean realness. The face sculpt, the skin colour, the costume, the ripped ear detail, the bone headpiece, all of the elements just worked seamlessly together. I loved his shield and his weapon with all the spikes and the blood. It looked really worn and used. I love the chains around his waist. His looks are so detailed, and I'm every time I see Grey in drag, I'm impressed. I love the metal details, all the chainmail, and even Grey's like personification of the character was on point. I would have maybe swapped the shoes for something a little more sinister. I'd have liked to have seen him with like a boot with spikes to kind of match his weapons. But overall, flawless work from Grey. Yet again. For Grey's look, I really didn't need to do very much. I just added those spiky boots that I mentioned, kind of give it more of a threatening feel. And then I also added some spikes to his back, and I changed the legs to show a bit more of the skin. I thought it was nice to carry that skin colour through a little bit more, but his look was epic already. Moving on to Auntie. Now, Auntie had this incredibly detailed look made of like earthy textures and moss and vines and leaves. There was even some mushrooms in there. I think this was a killer look. She also had blue skin and she had the yellow teeth and there was some red hair. I love the colour story that she was telling. It was very psychedelic and fantasy. I also thought the cobweb that she had on her staff was really cool, made out of wire. I love the way that caught the light. I struggled to see her costume in the fight scene, to be honest, in the blue lighting. I couldn't really make out what was going on because her skin was painted blue. It just kind of fell a little flat. But as soon as I saw her on stage, I was wowed. I love the hair with this look. All together, it had this like cartoony, unrealistic feel, which is perfect for this sort of challenge. And I love her fucked up like British teeth that she had as well. Again, I basically did nothing with Auntie's look. I just added some trees growing out of her back because I thought that was quite fun. Some more foliage like in her hair and trailing on the floor. And then I exposed her arm again just to show more skin. I think Gray and Auntie also worked really, really well together as a team. And their fight scene was really entertaining to watch. I think they both played their characters really, really well. I just wasn't too sure about the ending with the plants being like held in front of Gray as like the power scene. I don't know. It just looks a little like Amdram, but I guess there's only so much they can do with like in terms of special effects. Even if they like wrapped Gray in like some vines and then like pulled them off of him and then played it backwards so they were like climbing onto him, maybe it would have looked better than just these like branches like I don't know. It just seemed a bit silly to me, but maybe I'm just being extra picky. Moving on to Pie. I am obsessed with Pie's troll look. The silhouette is so fierce and imposing. The skin textures and the scars add so much grit and story to this character. I love the details on her costume, of the bones. I really love Pie's weapon and the fur details on her costume too. And the way that she carried the weapon like it was super heavy, and just her personification of the character was so on point. I think Pie made some really clever choices here with silhouette, just to make it even bigger than it already was, by adding the hair coming out of the top of the headpiece, for example. It just adds so much more volume and shape to this character. If I had one no, it may have been to maybe add a necklace of some sort just to hide that join from the bodysuit, but that's minor. It wasn't necessary. It's just a little niggly thing that I think maybe would have improved it slightly. I loved her mask as well with those protruding bottom teeth. Honestly, I think this is my favourite troll look I have ever seen. So, so good. For Pie's look, I literally just changed his hair and put some boots on him, but I don't know if it looks better or worse. Moving on to Jaria. Now, I love Jaria, but this look did not fit the Dungeons & Dragons theme to me. It was giving me like Las Vegas magician, like the sparkly waistcoat and jacket. It just didn't give Dungeons & Dragons to me at all. It was just so far off brief. I think it definitely needed a darker, grittier, more fantasy-based vibe. And like they said on stage, a wizard has potential to be one of the best looks here. There's so much iconic wizard magic imagery that we could pull from. So yeah, this fell a little bit flat. And when they spoke about her wearing flats as well, ooh! I thought it was kind of funny when Landon mentioned Star Wars because I had actually already written down. So for Jaharia's look, I kind of went in on this one, to be honest. I changed quite a lot. I chose to go with pink. I think it's fun to go for a nice bright colour, especially for like a magical character. I added lots more details as well to the look. I tried to go with a wizard that had lots of tools and scrolls and charms. I went with this kind of gold colour scheme to keep the glittery vibe. I thought that was quite fun. I added this witch hat and this long cloak. I had to play around with the colours, but I actually kept it with this like purple and gold moment. I think it worked really well. I tried some shoes, hated them. I was looking at wizard references from Dungeons & Dragons and noticing like the details. I even added these charms to the hat as well. I thought that was a really nice touch. Oh yeah, and here I added a belt with a spell book and some scrolls out of the pocket. And we ended up with these shoes. They're kind of cute, I like them. And I know this is basically a totally different look now, but at least I had fun. Moving on to Asia Consent. Now, I liked Asia's concept and the overall look, but the details felt a little chaotic. I think her bone corset was cool and all the bone spiky details, but I think the horns on her head, like the bone horns, should maybe have matched the same colour as the horns on her costume. And the silver wig kind of threw me off. I think it would have looked cool with like a long black wig or maybe some plaits. I don't know, just something a bit less costumey. I also thought the choice of choker was very odd. Like she was wearing like a lacy black lingerie choker with this look. And to me, it just didn't fit in the world that she was creating. I don't know, it just felt a little bit mismatched, like there was lots of pieces from different worlds all put together. Even the bones, like spikes on her chest, they kind of looked a little crafty, like, I don't know, it just didn't look super well finished. When the camera panned out and we saw the whole look, I think it was a really strong look. I like her aesthetic. She's clearly got something really cool going on. I just think maybe she has a problem with like piecing too many different aesthetics all together in one look sometimes. Asia also had some troubles with her bow and arrow. She was really struggling to make it look cool, I guess. She was kind of like flopping with it. And it was more about her reaction in my eyes. Like the way she reacted to herself dropping the arrow was detrimental because she kind of looked like she was like freaking out over it or laughing at herself, or I think she could have like played it out, you know, or I don't know, picked it up and snapped it. I just wish she'd done a little bit more with the situation that she found herself in, I guess. For Asia's look, I had some things that I wanted to play with, so I changed her hair first into this long black hair, and I kind of added some more black into the corset and added the spikes that were on her gloves onto the legs too to kind of balance it out a little. I tried some different things with the hair as well and added some more bones to the shoes and changed the colour of the bones on the head as well just to make them match the ones on the body. But I ended up settling on this tail, again looking at references online, and I added these really cool bones through the hair as well at the end, which I love. Moving on to Yuri. When I saw Yuri in the fight scene, I literally said, wow, like I think Yuri looked brilliant with this lighting and this environment. Her look was really, really effective. I really loved the glowing orbs that she had in her costume. I liked how they were made. I think they looked really cool on camera. And I liked her just got out of the well hair, like wet, kind of stringy hair all down her face. And I really liked her snaky makeup. Even though it wasn't giving troll, it was giving snake lady. I still really enjoyed it. I just agreed with the judges when they said about her material choices. I think maybe the material choice for her hood looked a little cheap and costumey. If there'd been some more like knitwear or some more jersey in there, I think maybe it would have looked more realistic and more lived in and more scary. But overall, I think this was a super strong look. I actually think the whole cast had super strong looks in general this episode. It was really impressive. For Yuri's look, I didn't really want to do very much. I really like the character that she brought, but I changed the shoes that she had on to more like boots that kind of matched the rest of the look. I gave her more of an orc nose instead of it being a snaky makeup. And then I accidentally put this black splodge on the screen, but I liked the shape of it on the body. So I added this kind of like spiky wheel behind her back. I don't know if it's a shield or if it's a weapon of some sort, but I like the way it looks. So yeah, that's what I did. And I also distressed her costume a little bit, made it a little more worn and torn. And I think Asia and Yuri working together as a team, I think Asia and Yuri's fight scene seemed a little odd to me. It felt quite short, and it also felt like Yuri didn't get too much of a moment. It felt like it was the Asia show because it was her shooting the arrow, her laughing at the end. I would have liked Yuri to kind of like take up a bit more screen time with her face as she died, like doing as a extreme like death scene. I don't know. It kind of felt like a bit of a missed opportunity for her maybe. After all the monster brawling, Grey, Auntie and Pie are on top, and I am thrilled and bent over. And the Boulets decide it is a team win, giving it to Auntie and Grey respectively. I'm gonna start choosing my favourite monster of the week, and I'm gonna call it my Freak of the Week. And this week, that award goes to Pie. I think Pie's look was impeccable this week, and she's showing such good drag every episode, so I'm such a huge Pie stan. Love you, Pie! Asia and Yuri is safe. Yuri is safe, and Asia and Jaria are up for extermination. I love how Yuri asks if she should leave the stage every time she gets told to leave the stage. I think it's so cute. This week's extermination is a fun one. The queens have to solve a riddle, and if they get the riddle wrong, they receive a terrible wizard tattoo. I'd honestly just skip the riddles and go straight for the tattoo. I've never understood those people who are super precious about their skin. Like, we're only here for a short time. We might as well like fill it up with the crazy art that we want to whilst we can. They both get their full tattoo. Asia gets one of the riddles right, so she didn't need to get the last portion of the tattoo, but she gets it anyway, which I'm very much here for. And ultimately, it's Jaria that ends up in an early grave this episode. And a quick mention for the prosthetics in her death scene. I love that crazy bat creature face. I think it looked epic. So that's a wrap on this week's Dragula review. I am loving where the season is going, but what did you guys think? Did Grey and Auntie deserve the win? And who would you have put up for extermination? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video. Until next time, stay freaky, stay fabulous, and remember, darlings, a good curse never dies. It just finds a new soul to haunt. You know, this look has been the most annoying look I've worn so far. My little finger things keep falling off everywhere. I've lost about 2 of them during the filming and I've had to remake them. My hood keeps falling down, so I apologise for the inconsistency during this video. Also, shout out to Orca for I mean, I say letting me, but he doesn't even know I'm wearing it. So shout out to Orca for making this costume that I stole and I've worn. Oh God, there goes another finger. Okay, I think that's a sign to say goodbye. Goodbye!